Welcome to the Football Pyramid Talk podcast. Available to listen to on YouTube and Spotify. George, Simon and Stirling as your hosts. 7 different leagues. Enjoy the episode.
Big one today. I'm joined by the usual crew, George and Simon. How are we?
All good, thank you. All good.
Good. Yeah, we had an unbelievable weekend of football, really, didn't we? FA Cup, that game in non-league, where I'm sure people listening know already. It's hard to escape it. York, you two were right. They got the job done, but we'll leave that to a bit later. FA Cup, Premier League, some big games. City versus Saints. I thought Saints had done it personally when they scored that goal. Absolute cracker. But wasn't to be, was it?
It wasn't, but I mean, the Saints gave it a real good go, didn't they, in the end? And they put a really good account for themselves against, a team at the top of the Premier League challenging for the league title and Man City. Finn's as what a goal it was to put him in the lead, sorry. I mean, Wick, Stanch, he had it all, didn't he? It was unbelievable finish into the far corner. It sent the Saints fans absolutely mental, as you can imagine. But then City sort of thought, we're not letting this happen. Doku came on, made a difference, deflected goal, but he still, as long as it was in the back of the net, he wasn't really caring how it ended up there, because City it was basically attack v defence in that game. Apart from when the Saints went on to score the goal, because Southampton were very defensive and did keep out City for the large majority of the game. They're just moments of quality from Doku and then Nico Gonzalez to win it. It was an absolute thunderbolt to
good finish.
win them the game. Really good finish off the bench. And I think the subs made the difference, to be honest, with City. Subs changed the game, bringing on Haaland and Doku especially, making an impact for their first goal to equalise. I think Saints gave a good account of themselves, but I think the quality that City had just sort of not took Saints by surprise, but it just was in fruition. It was just spreading all over the pitch, and City punished a very defensive Saints side, and probably over the course of the game did deserve to win that game and earn themselves a spot in the FA Cup final.
Yeah, I thought their bench was incredibly strong, and I think Southampton, as you say, gave good account of themselves, but couldn't really have expected any other outcome, I don't think, once City started making those changes. There were some great goals in that game. Southampton's goal was great, and Gonzalez's winner was brilliant effort. Reminded me of that Vincent Kompany goal to win the Premier League a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
Reminiscent of that. So, yeah, well played Southampton, but not to be.
It's positive signs that if they are going to come up, that, well, whether it be this season or next, because, I mean, we'll speak about it later, but they're going into the playoffs now. That they can actually compete. Last season when they came up, well, yeah, from the season before, they were in the Prem last season, and they didn't really put up much of a fight all season. But I think looking at that team and what the manager's doing, that they'll at least put up a better fight than they did under Russell Martin and that other bloke that they ended up getting in last season, because that was a bit of a car crash.
Yeah, absolute car crash. And the impact that Tom Derekat's made there is absolutely incredible. And he's taken them into the playoffs and the championship. That City result was their first defeat in about 20 odd games or something like that. It was absolutely outrageous. And it was a narrow loss to a side that are challenging at the top of the Premier League. I think we'll speak about it a bit later, but they're probably favourites for promotion via the playoffs, just because of when you look at the form guide, they're absolutely levels above anyone else in the league, to be honest. It's incredible how well they're doing. So it's hard to not look past them. And, the way they're playing, the football they're playing, it's just really, really good to watch, especially that game last night, flipping over from that absolute cracking game between PSG and Bayern. And then Ipswich versus Southampton was a cracking game as well. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they get on in the playoffs, because Tom de Reckert's just put his name on a lot of football fans' minds just because of how good he's been and how big of an impact he's made at Southampton since he's come in.
Yeah, well, I hope he stays there. But looking towards the Premier League, we had a lot of movement, really, actually, and some big results. Probably, in my eyes, the biggest shock of the season, with Sunderland getting battered 5-0 at home to Nottingham Forest. I mean, they've been really good there. I don't think many teams have gone there and beaten them. But definitely in the first half of the season, they were unbeaten there for a long, long time. But fair play to Nottingham Forest. They've extended. Well, I suppose they haven't really, with other results, Tottenham and West Ham also winning, but they kept away from that relegation zone with a huge win, didn't they?
Yeah, what a result for Nottingham Forest. I mean, me and you were watching this, Simon, and we just couldn't believe what was going on. It was just goal after goal after goal, but the defending from Sunderland was absolutely shocking. I didn't know the countless amount of times they were giving the ball away at the back, and one of the goals, wasn't it, Simon, was from Robin Roos. He literally just passed the ball to, I think it was Chris Wood, wasn't it? He just chipped it over the keeper, and I think it was 2-0 that goal. And then I think two of the goals were set pieces where um, Nottingham Forest just whip it to the back post, and then it's a ball cut across goal, or Trey Hume scored an own goal, but that was because of a ball to the back post from which was headed across by Igor Jesus, and it just came off of Trey Hume's head. They were so poor defensively, Sunderland, and they just didn't really look comfortable at all in a back four. And then in the second half, they changed to a five, looked more comfortable than they were in the first half, but I still think they looked levels below what they've been, when you've watched him against the likes of Man City. So, yeah, it was really confusing, to be honest, but can't take anything away from Nottingham Forest. I mean, Gibbs White with goal and assists. He's putting himself in contention for the World Cup squad the way he's been playing in the last couple of games. A hat trick last week as well against Burnley, and then a goal and assist in this game. Unbelievable form from him. And then Chris Wood returned from injury, as I said, with a goal. Igor Jesus was brilliant, and then Elliot Anderson scored late on to make it 5. But they're unbeaten in their last 8 now, Nottingham Forest. So I think they're looking more and more likely each week that they're going to be staying up this season from the way they're playing and the form they're on. But in terms of Sunderland's European hopes, 4 points off the Albion now in 6th. They're on 46 points, but just 2 points off Chelsea in 8th, which we were reading the newspaper when I was around your side about how the European spots can really tops and turns, has some tops and turns as you approach the latter stages of the season, with Aston Villa winning the Europa League, Crystal Palace winning the Conference League. It could all affect how many teams go into Europe. So it's the fact of how high Sunderland can finish. I think that eighth place is quite certain on being a European spot, isn't it? But it's just how, if they can get in there, which, the way they're playing at the minute, they've dropped off in form, and the way that we saw them play in that game, Simon, it's hard to see them get into them European spots, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think they'll qualify for Europe unless there's some bizarre set of circumstances that means the team 9th or 10th can qualify, because they weren't very good on Saturday. They've conceded more goals since the turn of the year than any other club apart from Burnley and Tottenham.
Oof.
So they've seriously got problems at the back. And I think if I was a Tottenham supporter, I'd be fuming, because as you said, but it was basic defending. They weren't wonderful goals that Sunderland conceded. They were just basic, failing to pick people up. Uh, should imagine the Brits putting through their paces in training. But I mean, they're a good side, Forest. They just needed to get a little bit of self-belief, I think, and I can't imagine any scenario where they get relegated when you look at the quality they've got in that team. Even with this distraction of the Europa League semi-final, 2 legs against Villa coming up, I think I'd be more concerned as a Villa supporter than Forest supporter for that one. I think, but yeah, it's a bit. It was a shocking result, but Sunderland no chance of European football. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting to Europe, and it's not entirely surprised their second half form of the season, because I think we said at the start of the year and the season, and a lot of people said it, that they have so many African players that were going to go to AFCON. So actually, it's a credit that it didn't happen sooner. Um, but you could kind of see that with the amount of players that went to AFCON. Maybe that's taking it out of the squad a little bit. But Forest under Vitor Pereira, there's been a massive, massive improvement, to be honest. And I actually like him as a manager. I thought he was good. Didn't have a great spell at Wolves, but in terms of a manager, I think, I always liked him. I liked his style of play. The end of last season for Wolves, they actually were doing really well when they had
Yeah,
Cunha.
incredible.
So, yeah, I think he's definitely got it in him, and I think they're going to stay up now. It mounts the pressure on Spurs even more. They got a win, didn't they, against Burnley very late on? Was it? I know it was Wolves. Sorry,
Yeah,
um,
well,
Wolves very late on to keep up with the pace. But if they didn't, this result would have sent them down. I was in the pub with my mates, and we were laughing, saying one of our mates is a Spurs fan, giving him a bit of grief, saying Forest have just sent you down, mate. And yeah, I think without that result, they would have been all but relegated, and they would have been joining Wolves and Burnley, because they've also been confirmed relegated now. Yeah, and another really interesting game on the weekend: Liverpool beating Palace 3-1. What did you make of that, Dad?
Yeah, well, it's the first time they've beaten Palace at home for 4 years, I think. So they needed to get that.
oh wow.
Sort of cemented their place in fourth. Them and Villa both got 58. The Champions League places probably are going to go down to fifth, aren't they? So they both look safe. The real reason I wanted to talk about the game was not so much the result, but the fan protest before the game
I
from
saw that. Yeah.
the Liverpool supporters. They are basically they were protesting about the fact that for the third year running, the FSG group have raised ticket prices there,
Yeah,
and the spirit of Shankly behind it. So they had none of the usual banners before the game, and they'd given out yellow cards with Billy Hogan's face on it and Anfield's soul at risk on it. And on the 13th minute, they held them up, and they held them up on the 13th minute because that's the cumulative price rise over the 3 years of those increases in ticket prices. And the point that
Oh,
Spirit of Shankly have made persistently is these increases in prices are only going to net the club a little over £1 million. And we're
yeah,
talking about the finance figures that they published earlier this month. Liverpool showed that them paying millions and millions of pounds to agents. And, the thing is, agents deserve the money they get. But in the grand scheme of things, is it worth the aggravation that they're causing to the fan base by trying to raise £1 million? It just seems mean spirited. And
yeah,
there was an Anfield Wrap podcast where we were talking to a football expert, and he was making the point that clubs like Liverpool are really hoping that they can tie in with Meta so that they can sell virtual tickets to games.
really
Yeah, and that's what he was saying. He said
ridiculous.
if you can sell a virtual ticket to someone that's watching on a VR headset and they can pick their own seat,
oh
he said
God,
you
no.
probably find that the clubs will be more receptive to the match paying public having reduced prices. But I keep
Game's
coming
well
back.
and truly got that happens. Yeah.
Game's gone.
Um, but I
Game's
keep
gone.
coming back to the point I've been making ever since we started this, that people have got other things they can do with their lives, and if you keep alienating people, more and more turning off. I think my own football watching habits now are different than they used to be, because I would have made time to watch every English team play in Europe. But
Yeah.
now, you know, I just think, do I really want to sit down and waste 2 hours of my life watching Arsenal and Atletico Madrid draw 0-0 tonight? Probably not.
No, I'm watching the National
Well,
League South.
we watched Saints, didn't we, yesterday? Saints
Yeah, I
versus
mean,
Ipswich.
yeah, that came back and blew up in my face a little bit with PSG and playing a game for the ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I strongly suspect that tonight they won't. But my wider point is, is it really worth £1 million worth of money to get this sort of aggravation? Because without the
No.
fan, the game is nothing, and
Yeah.
you keep pissing people off. The next generation that comes behind them are going to be like, yeah, I don't know if I can be bothered. I mean, it was about baseball, admittedly, but this guy, he's got a 9-year-old son, and he said to him, he was filming him as he said it. He said, "I've got good news, got bad news and good news." And the kid was like, "What's the bad news?" He said, "You're not going to school today." I went, "Oh, I wanted to see my friend Joey," and he was like, "No, the good news is I'm taking you to see the Mets play." And the kid was like, "Hmm,
Really?
yeah." But I think
God.
there's so many other things that he can do with his life.
Yeah.
Down to baseball, it's like, oh, and that's what the next generation is going to be like if ownership groups like this don't start to recognise that,
Yeah.
the small gain that they're getting, they are royally pissing people off.
Especially for a team that spent 150 million on one player last year.
Yeah. Exactly.
For the sake of 1 million, I'm sure they can turn the other cheek. But
Well, the spirit of Shankly's campaign wasn't so much about. I think they recognise that in this modern marketplace, you've got to spend that sort of money to get that sort of talent
yeah,
onto the pitch, and they appreciate that they're doing that. Their point was, and then it wasn't the spirit of Shankly making this point, so I don't want to conflate the two, but the guy on the podcast that was the financial expert was saying you do look at the fees that Liverpool pay to agents and wonder whether £1 million here or there is really worth the grief that they're getting them for it.
that was the point I was trying to make as well. If they got the money to spend 150 million on Isaac or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and 100 million on
Yeah.
Verts, then an extra million to keep the fans turning up with all the banners, and everyone loves that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem. But we'll move on to Championship, and we touched on Saints, and we watched it yesterday. Saints versus Ipswich. It was a real big game for automatic race, and probably a result that didn't help either of them. 2-2. Ipswich, I thought they were going to go win it at the end, didn't you, Dad?
Yeah, I did, but I mean, what I couldn't believe was when they were 1-0 up Ipswich, they were still going hell for leather at Southampton. I thought there was almost no game management whatsoever, and even at 1-1, they were still trying to take the game to Southampton, which, fair play. That's, they wanted to win the game to seal the automatic place. I get that. But I was surprised at their game management. But as you say, 2-2, that sort of condemns Southampton to playoffs is not the right word, I don't think, because as you said, when Tonda Eckert took over, if you'd offered Southampton supporters that, they would have snatched your arm off, because that was beyond their wildest expectations, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you look at those final games, Ipswich are at home to QPR. You'd probably fancy Ipswich to win that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It sort
Definitely.
of almost doesn't make much difference what happens with Millwall. They'd probably beat Oxford.
Yeah.
They've got a hard game, Middlesbrough at Wrexham, because Wrexham will need to win that to get themselves into the playoffs, or be sure of being in the playoffs. So I'd imagine Ipswich are going to get that second place now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, QPR haven't really got a lot to play for, have they? Their season's done in lower mid-table, so nothing to play for, which will benefit Ipswich more because obviously they've got a massive game. Wrexham will be right up for it. in terms of Middlesbrough, obviously, they want to stay inside of the playoffs. And Millwall, I'll speak about it in a minute, but Oxford are relegated to League One, so they're just playing for pride and passion, really. Whereas Millwall are fighting to get in the automatic. So all teams apart from Middlesbrough, so Millwall and Ipswich have teams that aren't really playing for much, but then Middlesbrough are definitely the most unlikely to not get in there just based off of the opposition they're playing. But this game was cracking, unbelievable game. But wasn't really a good result for either team because it confirmed Saints couldn't get in the automatics, and it confirmed that Ipswich would have to go to the last day to confirm they're in the automatic spaces, which was why, you can imagine that both teams, as you're saying, Simon, were going right at it. But I agree with you, especially Ipswich, even when they were ahead in the game, they're thinking, let's go get a second and make sure we're going to the Premier League,
Yeah.
which you can understand, but I think it was a cracking game on top of probably missing one of, if not, one of the greatest games in Champions League history in that 5-4. But this Saints Ipswich game was a great game itself, but I don't think it was on par with that game.
I think it's probably a credit to Southampton that Ipswich went for it so much at 1-0 because they probably thought that, well, these guys are going to come back at us and we need to kill the game off well and truly. So I suppose that is a credit to them, and I do think that they're going to be. We said it earlier that they're going to be the favourites in the playoffs. Southampton, and they've done it before, haven't they? Playoffs. They've come up. That's how they came up last time in the playoff final. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And they've just played at Wembley, so maybe that's like a small advantage, but probably not on the day. It's a bit of a it's a cup final, isn't it? So there you go. Anything can happen. But you mentioned Oxford being relegated with Leicester as well, which the writing has been on the wall for weeks with Leicester. Crazy. 10 years after winning the Prem, they're down with that squad. I saw actually the fans. A few fans stayed behind at the end and were asking the owner to come over, and pretty much they were very calm. They said, we just want to know, like, what's happened. Do the players not care? Like, what's gone wrong? And really, the owner had absolutely nothing to say. He had no answers. Like, there was no accountability or anything. I think he said, I'm not going to blame anyone, but yeah, I mean, car crash for Leicester, ridiculous, upsetting to see actually as a football fan, the fall from grace. But yeah, what did you think about it all, George?
Yeah, I did see that clip of the owner staying after, and he was basically just speechless throughout. The fans were basically just saying, "We want to have a chat. We're not going to give you any stick and stuff like that. We just want a civil conversation about what has happened to our football club." The fan was saying he's been to every single game this season, home and away, and it's just been an absolute disaster. And he just had no answer to it, as you're saying, Sterling. I mean, absolutely mind-boggling with the squad they have, and they're going to the third step of English football and playing Bromley away. I mean, if you would have told a Leicester fan that they're playing Bromley away next season in 2027, 2026, 27 season, they'd probably, 100% laugh in your face.
Yeah.
But it's actually come to that situation. I mean, it's absolutely mental. I mean, Oxford, it's more expected than Leicester. Do you know what I mean? Oxford have given themselves a good account of themselves, I think, in the Championship. I think it's just been really competitive this year. Will Lancashire has been one of them players on loan from Spurs. I reckon he might get a chance next year. He got 2 goals and an assist in the game. They won 4-1 at home to Sheffield Wednesday, which didn't really mean anything before kickoff because West Brom's point at home to Ipswich confirmed they were going down anyway. So this was their first game where they were just playing for pride, really, and they put on the show, to be fair. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday are absolutely terrible this season, so they're probably expecting to win if they had to play for something or if they didn't. But Matt Bloomfield was saying in an interview he's excited for the future of the club despite getting relegated, which is a indicator that he will stay on for the next season. But in terms of Leicester, absolutely crazy. Even with their points deduction, which was 6, they'd still be in the drop, and
Yeah.
they'd still be right amongst it. You can't blame it
No, it's
because
got no
they've
one
been
to blame.
they've been shocking. They've been shocking either way, haven't they? It's just absolutely mind-boggling that Leicester are a League One side with probably one of, if you go player for player in this league, they have probably got one of the best teams in the league, and they're getting
That's crazy.
relegated.
Do you think they're the best team to ever go down? Obviously not, considering they've got in that position, but just on
Yeah,
paper, I reckon they must be.
I can't. Well, I'm only 18 years of age, but I can't think of anyone as good as their team, player for player, getting relegated. They've got a absolute. They've probably got a Premier League relegation side, Premier League squad, and they're getting relegated to League One. Honestly, it's absolutely crazy. It's hard to put into words, isn't it? Mental.
Yeah. What do you think, Dad? Do you reckon from the Championship? We were watching Brighton in the Championship for ages. There's no team that's got relegated from that division in my lifetime. Certainly, that's had as good of a squad as Leicester have now, and as big of a club. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Forget 10 years ago, Premier League. They won the FA Cup about 5 years ago.
Yeah. And the Community
Yeah.
Shield.
I mean, there was going a long time back in the 70s, Man United got relegated out of the old Division 1 by Man City, coincidentally. That everybody was really surprised then when it happened. And I think 95, 96, somewhere around there, Blackburn and Wolves both got to 40 points and they were relegated. I don't think either of them deserved to be relegated, but certainly in terms of fall from grace, this is huge. And the thing with Leicester is it's not going to end there, I don't think, because their revenues are predicted to drop by 50% in League One, just because they're going to be playing teams like Bromley, and that's no disrespect to Bromley, because I'd go and watch them play. But
Yeah.
the revenues are going to drop by 50%. It means their revenues are going to be less than a third of what they were when they were in the Prem. And they've still got a lot of those overheads that they had when they're in the Prem. So I don't think it's going to be a pretty season for them. I really don't. There's going to be a fire sale of players, but they're going to have players there that they can't sell because nobody will want to pay Leicester the money for them, and the players won't want to move because it's going to involve a drop in wages. And at the end of the day, players are, they're employees at the end of the day, and they've got every right to say, I'm not going to go and play for I don't know, Blackburn in the Championship because they're going to pay me 25% of what you're paying me in League One. So I'm staying here.
Well, exactly.
I think it's going to end very, very messily for Leicester. I really do. I worry for them.
Yeah.
them and West Ham, I think. Because we haven't talked about West Ham, but whatever happens at West Ham, whether they're in the Premier League or the Championship, they're in deep, deep trouble as well.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head with Leicester with, as you say, the revenue, because you think of all those fans that jumped on board when they won the Prem and they were like, that underdog story, they went viral, didn't they, worldwide. I'm not going to go and watch them play Bromley in League One. And I laughed when you said it only because I saw a photo of a charity shop. It must have been in Leicester. And it had on the window a sign saying "No more Leicester shirts." So people were going in there just giving their Leicester shirts away, and I
Oh
thought,
my God, that's
so
incredible.
I think that says it all. But last thing I wanted to mention in the Championship is we saw at Coventry lift the Championship trophy as not only promoted, as we spoke about last week, but title winners. So amazing from them. We've been waxing lyrical about them for pretty much all the season. Personally buzzing for Frank Lampard. I think after that, I think he did an okay job at Chelsea, really poor at Everton, and a lot of people wrote him off. So to actually see him come back from that and have such an amazing season and be champions of the Championship, I mean, they've done brilliantly. And yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say. They beat Wrexham 3-1, didn't they? So another good result there. And we touched on Wrexham; they're still in and amongst it. But yeah, it's just brilliant, really, to see Coventry, and I'm excited to see them come up and hopefully down the Amex next season if I can get out there, which I imagine I will.
I'm really pleased that they won the title, Frank.
Yeah,
And I think he deserved that because I think he was up against it at Everton. I think, look at what happened to Everton after he left.
yeah,
They struggled to stay in the Prem, quite frankly, with points deductions and etc. 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 So I don't think he can. He, in reality, his reputation took that much of a hit, really, but he's definitely bounced back. So that's pleased to see. And I'm looking forward to seeing Coventry. Be a good away day if we can get on it.
Yeah, that would
yeah.
be good, actually. Yeah.
That'd be unreal. Yeah, unbelievable way they deserve it. They've been brilliant all season. They had that rough patch sort of near like the middle stages of the season, but they've just bounced back from it. They've been incredible. And to be honest, I mean, you can see it by the league table. They've been a level amongst the rest, and that's the reason they're the champions. I mean, cracking season. And yeah, looking forward to seeing them in the Prem and covering them in the Prem next season because be really interested to see how they get on. Because obviously I haven't actually watched them in the Premier League at all. I only know them as an EFL side, so that's what I said a few weeks ago. I think I love it when just new teams come into the Premier League that Brighton have never faced in the Premier League. Like I was saying about Ipswich last season, never seen them in the Prem. And obviously, I hadn't seen Sunderland, so just teams like that. I love stories like that, and
Yeah.
Coventry, another one of them. So I'd be very interested to see how they get on the Premier League next season.
Absolutely. We'll move on to League One. Yeah, some big games in League One. Some really effective games in terms of relegation. One being Blackpool, 1-0 versus Leighton Orient. And all those teams down the bottom now have played 45 games, so we've got one more game left coming up on the weekend. And Orient are only 2 points above Exeter, just sitting above the relegation zone, which I mean is crazy for a number of reasons. One being that they got the best player in League One, Don Ballard, who picked up not only the Player of the Year, Player of the Season for League One, he also got Young Player of the Season, didn't he, George? So
Yeah,
that's just it's crazy that they've got that caliber of player and they're sitting just there. But Blackpool, I mentioned it the other week, and we were saying, weren't we, that they're safe. They're now up to 14th. So they've had 3 wins in a row, and that just shows that if you can just get how tight it's been, you get a little bit of momentum,
you're out of
you're
there.
away from it. And it ties into what you want to speak about, Dad. Port Vale have been relegated, and they've struggled for consistency all season. But they actually did get a win on the weekend, but it's just too little too late.
It was actually last night.
Too late.
Stockport and Port Vale's game in hand of everybody else in the division. I mean, Stockport, 9,000 people turned up there, and they probably were expecting Port Vale relegated. They're probably expecting possession. 3 points would have cemented their place in the playoffs. They were 2-0 down at half time. The manager made a
Oh,
couple
isn't
of.
it?
Well, he made 3 changes, I think, in all at half time. But they couldn't get themselves anything other than a consolation later on in the game. So it's a real turn up for the book, and it makes that final round of matches at the top really interesting now because even
Yeah,
Plymouth down in 8th could catch Stevenage in 6 if they won and Stevenage and Luton lost. So and Stockport themselves aren't completely safe because Luton could catch them as well. So it's a real kick in the teeth, I think, for Stockport. But they obviously turned up last night expecting a bit of a party and didn't get one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is just crazy that you got what Port Vale were literally rock bottom for most of the season, and Stockport have been up there for most of the season. I
yeah,
mean, I wonder if it's just because they're, but as you say, they're not destined for the playoffs. It's not done, is it? They could easily fall out of it. But I was just going to say whether they're just their minds already on the playoffs and they think, well, got to play Port Vale on a Tuesday night. Can't really be asked. Like, just get us playing Stevenage or whoever it's going to be in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, you'd think that, the added pressure of that win getting you into the playoffs would make them play better against a Port Vale side that knew they're already relegated, which is really confusing how Port Vale have got that win. Obviously, fair play to them, still showing that fight and courage to go away from home at a promotion pushing team, being already relegated to League Two, going to win there. Incredible result. In terms of Stockport, I think we all think, I don't know, but I think they'll still get in there. Obviously, I think it'll be hard to see him drop out of it. But, it just is a damaging result. As you're saying, 9,000 people turning up. You could fully expect that, you could fully see why fans are thinking, oh, we're going to go and win this game because you're facing an already relegated side. In terms of Blackpool, they've turned their season massively around under Ian Evatt, and he's really changed the trajectory of how their season's going. Obviously, at the later stage of the season, clawing them away from the relegation zone now. But Leyton Orient, as you're saying, they're right in amongst it, going all the way down to the last game of the season with Exeter. I've got this in my notes for the game I wanted to speak about with Wimbledon, but Exeter have got Bradford at home and Orient have got Burton at home. So Leyton Orient got the way easier fixture going into it. And then Exeter have got a tough game against a Bradford side who are right up there at the minute. So be interesting to see how it ends up between them two. But I wanted to speak about Wimbledon securing safety in a 90th minute away at Wigan. Wigan. I mean, absolute scenes in the away and alerts. I saw fans match day vlog and it just looked like absolute carnage because 90th minute, Zach Nelson with the assist for Antoine Hackford goal to win the game for Wimbledon. 4 points clear of safety with a game to go. So obviously, if you do the maths, they are safe in this division for next season. Wigan were already safe, so they didn't have a lot to play for. But Wimbledon are on a six game losing streak, 6 game streak without winning a game. So added a lot more, disappointment for Wigan in terms of Wigan. They wouldn't have wanted to lose that game at their home stadium to a Wimbledon side on an absolutely horrendous run of form. But incredible moment for the Wimbledon fans to stay up away from home. I don't think they would have expected it, seeing how poorly they've been playing. But that's the magic of football in the end. So it comes down to the last day between Leyton Orient and Exeter. I think Leyton Orient will get over the line, but they do have the better goal difference. Exeter, but it would be a real shock to see Leyton Orient end up in the relegation zone, considering how much of the gap it is to Exeter in that relegation zone. So be interesting to see if they can, but I doubt it'll happen.
Yeah, Leyton Orient just need to win. That's what I'm saying. Just go and beat Burton. Because if they draw and Exeter win, then as you say, that goal difference can come in key. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens on the final day of League One, just like I am League Two. And that'll be us moving on to Newport 3, Oldham 2 on the weekend as well. George, what did you make of this?
This is a crazy game. I mean, there's two different parts of the table we're going to speak about because it's all happening coming down to the last day in the relegation zone and in the playoffs. I mean, and also for the title, which we can get onto as well. I mean, in terms of the game I want to speak about, Newport 3, Oldham 2. Last minute winner takes them out of the drop zone going into the last day, which is why the goal was so important. And I'll get on to how it's quite funny who scored the goal in a second. But 2-1 to Oldham at half time. Bobby Camworth put the side 1-0 up, but then Oldham turned it around. before half time with goals from Will Sutton and Danielle Semiu. Before then, just before half time again, sort of goals sort of kept happening after goals after the other. So it was quite a quick pace for about 5-10 minutes because Fondop then got sent off for Oldham just before half time. But they did go into the break 2-1 up Oldham, but literally straight away, 46th minute, Ben Lloyd equalised to make it 2-all. And then in the 98th minute, I think it was, 95th, something like that, it was. No, it wasn't. It was, I think it was 103rd minute, I think it was. Bobby Camera got a penalty and missed. And it looked like Newport were going to be in the relegation zone going into the final day. But then another twist to the tail. In the 108th minute, the geezer that missed the penalty and scored the opening goal resolves it. He makes up for his penalty miss and he goes on to win the game in the 108th minute. I mean, oh my God, the
Thanks, Rick.
scenes again. I'm just speaking at games in the EFL that just have absolute carnage, and Newport looked like it was even better than Wimbledon. This just looked crazy. People were flying all over the place because it was mad. I think it would have added that extra special because of the player
Yeah.
missing the penalty goes on to win it. It adds that extra, testament to what the goal meant. I mean, in terms of the final day, Newport travel away to Barrow. Barrow all but relegated, 3 points inside the drop zone with a worse goal difference with both Harrogate and Crawley above them. So it'd be absolutely crazy to see them get out of the relegation zone by the end of all of these results. But in terms of Oldham, they had a late push for the playoffs, but their inconsistency kicked in again without a winning 5 now. So they'll be comfortably a League Two side next season. But between Tranmere, Crawley, Newport and Harrogate for that last relegation spot, don't know who you think's going to end up in there, but it's gone right down to the wire in the relegation zone between 4 teams. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, I think Crawley might be in trouble, but I think the easy choice, would you agree, Dad, is Harrogate and Barrow because they've pretty much been there all season.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think Newport are in trouble, frankly. Barrow done. There's really Crawley and Harrogate, and
Yeah.
Crawley have got a hell of a game away at Salford.
Yeah, they're on some fine form.
I can't see them getting anything out of that. So it's whether Harrogate.
It's at home to. Is it? Yeah, it's at home to Salford. It's at home.
Oh, sorry, it's at home. Doesn't matter. It's still going to be a tough
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
It literally doesn't matter. They're still going to lose.
The Salford, Salford win and Cambridge don't win. Salford get the automatic playoff place. So
Yeah.
don't matter where that game is, Crawley are going to lose it, as you say. So whether Harrogate can get a result at Barnet are out of it now. They can't catch Chesterfield or Swindon. And that game,
because they're playing each other.
They're playing each other, yeah. So that game basically, it means because they're playing each other means Barnet can't get into the playoff. It's one of those teams that's going to get 3 points, or they're both going to get 1 point, and that'll be enough to see off Barnet. Although Barnet have got a good goal difference, but if they drew, Chesterfield would take the place on 77. So, and I was going to talk briefly about Swindon because it really all went wrong for them at the weekend, losing at Grimsby. Grimsby sealed their place in the playoffs with that win. But it really does set up another fantastically interesting game with Chesterfield and Swindon playing each other on Saturday. It's at Swindon, so they'll probably get a really good gate there. Probably be 5 figures at least. It will probably be in 5 figures, so 10,000 at least. Be fascinating to see how Chesterfield approach that game because the draw will be good enough for them. And Swindon need to win, so it should be a crack at that one.
That's massive. This is why we love the EFL. Honestly, it's brilliant, isn't it? Like, those Newport scenes, it must have been crazy, and then that shaping up another final day. Just again, it's like a cup final, isn't it? To get into the playoffs. Of course, you have to go again, but I mean, it's all to play for, and these are proper fans as well. I think when I think about these clubs that are going, the fans that are going to watch them, these are proper fans. They're no glory hunters or just they jumped on a bandwagon. No, it means so much. So that's bound to be an absolute cracker. But Grimsby, I mean, we've all been very impressed with them this season and full of praise. So I'm happy that they're in there. I think they deserve it. If I'm completely honest, but Swindon, you'd expect them to be in there from the position they were in as well. So yeah, all to play for. But that was a really really shocking result, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely crazy result. I mean, I saw a clip of after the game, the Swindon goalkeeper going to the away fans and saying, "Well, we know it was useless. I won't swear, but he was basically saying we were crap, and he was like, it's not over because the fans were booing. It was absolutely terrible, but he's saying it's not over. We've got one more game, and they all just knew how important it was to try and get the team going because that is literally uh, the playoff decider. Whoever wins that gets in the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's
Not the way to do it, though, is it? Booing them.
no, it didn't look very impressive as someone just watching it from afar. I know you've been on bad run of form, but you've got one game to go, and that game decides if you're in the playoffs or not. So you've got to get behind the team, really.
Yeah.
Going up the table. I mean that Salford game you want to speak about, Sterling, has really, really turned up the automatic race going into the final day as well. If you want to speak about that now, absolutely crazy. And Bromley, his title's slowly but surely slipping away from him.
Yes, both the reasons I wanted to speak about it really. Dad, you mentioned that if they get a win on the weekend against Crawley, and who is it above them, Cambridge, don't win, then they're going to be sneaking in there, Salford, for the third automatic position, third and final. But yeah, for Bromley, I mean, we said, didn't we, last week that we want them to win the league. They deserve to win the league. Maybe they've done a bit of a Brighton and just, gone a bit too heavy on the booze since they got promoted. And if that is the case, then fair enough. But it's still, they'll want to win the league, and I want to see them win the league. But Salford are a good team, so they lost 2-0 away to Salford. It's no chalk off their back, if that's the right expression. Is sweat off their back potentially. Because they're a good side, Salford, and they should have been in the automatic playoffs anyway. Automatic spots anyway. I think because they went on that amazing run, as I said before, and then their form just dropped off a cliff. But now they seem to be back on it, so they're definitely capable of putting in runs. But it was just that I think it was just after the turn of the year that they kind of slowed down a little bit.
What do you think, Si?
Yeah. Well, as I say, it's a crucial game, isn't it, at the weekend for them because with the way that the fixtures are shaken out, they can still catch Cambridge, and I don't think Cambridge will be relishing a trip to Crewe because Crewe won't be wanting to do them any favours. They're a good team, finished 10th season. Been on a bit of a choppy run, losing their last 3 games. If they turned that round, they could have been in the playoff hunt themselves. So going to be another interesting viewing that one for sure. But I do think Salford might catch Cambridge. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move on to National League, and really the biggest talking point out of English football and potentially football in the whole world, I think, which is just a testament to the English pyramid, was the title decider between Rochdale and York. And I mean, you guys, fair enough to you were right. You said York. I think Dad, you might have done as well, George, but I seem to remember Dad saying it was going to be a draw.
I said, sure.
Yeah, which you're right. I thought I'd got it bang on. We were on the pitch at Worthing, which a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm sure if you're following the Instagram, you would have seen it. and he's flashed up, didn't it? Rochdale, 106th minute, whatever it was,
Yeah.
to win the title. I thought that's it, and I could just see him scoring late on, but York, in the most dramatic of circumstances as well, by the way, like that goal. I mean, I don't know whether if there was goal line technology that would have been crossed off, but if anything, then that's just an advocate for.
It was miles over the line. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any doubt about it. There's no contention because when the guy pulls it out from, I mean, it wasn't the goalkeeper that saved it either. It was the defender.
George said
That's
that.
what I was saying.
So,
Even if it
even
didn't go in, the keeper saves it with his hands anyway. Not the
yeah,
keeper,
the
outfielder.
defender. Yeah. But I
Yeah,
mean, it was that far over the line that the linesman could see it. And as soon as the defender poured it out, you could see a couple of Rochdale players put their heads in their hands because they realised what had happened. It was
yeah,
non-contentious. I just want to roll it back a little bit, really, though, because before the game, those two teams both issued a press statement that said,
Yeah,
and it was along the lines of, "This is fantastic. This game, we love it." And it's the reason why everybody loves English football and the English football pyramid. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't both of us be playing in this sort of high stakes game because
yeah,
the point they made was the non-league, the National League isn't really in the National League. It should be called League Three.
yeah,
And they made the point that virtually every club in that division is now professional. And even if they're not completely professional, more than 50% of their squad is a full-time employee. But I think most of the teams in that division are fully full-time. So they said to call it the National League and non-league is a misnomer. And they said it really shouldn't be us fighting out promotion because there should be more promotion places. And
yeah,
since it's 23 years since this format has existed, and the press statement they released said that not one single club that's been promoted in that 23 years has been relegated the next season, whether they went up as champions or in the playoffs. But they made the point that only 6 clubs in those 23 years that finished second have gone on to get promoted, and they said it's
yeah,
not fair. And I can't help agree with them. They had loads of
yeah,
other stats. I forget all of them. One of them was about attendances, saying that there's clubs in the National League like Southend and York that are getting higher attendances than more than half the teams in League Two.
yeah,
It's got to stop. I mean, it's fantastic that game happened, and I loved every minute of the coverage, including the alleged left hook. Although we'll skirt over that because apparently
yeah,
that's subject to investigation by Greater Manchester Police. But I'd rather it was the sort of jeopardy you see in League One, where Swindon are playing Chesterfield, and it's a legitimate fight for a playoff place. Whereas this, I don't think it's legitimate. I really don't. I think
yeah,
they've been forced into playing such a high stakes game because the football league, won't sort out this whole idea of getting these clubs, making it fairer for them to get promoted.
yeah. It's such a shame because obviously York gone on to win the title, and we spoke about it on the way to the Albion game last Tuesday, didn't we? Only 6. That stat you just said. Only 6 sides have gone on to win the playoffs and get promoted that have
That
come
finished second.
second. It's
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's just crazy. Like that stat just boggles my mind. And if that is the case for Rochdale, I hope they do go up, and I'm rooting for them in the playoffs. But that's just it's so unfair because they deserve it. Well, they've
Yeah,
got over 100 points, 101
yeah. That's
points or something.
literally after the game. After the game, York, I think his midfielder Ollie Banks actually said he hopes Rochdale go up because they deserve nothing more than
No,
to be
exactly.
promoted by alongside them. Sorry, because they've been going at it all season, knowing that one promotion spot is the only way they're going to get promoted apart from the playoffs. And the stat you're saying, Simon, is really, it's a statement to how damaging that last minute winner is. About that, I think it's on the fans, to be honest, because they pitch invade
Yeah.
and they add on an extra 2-3 minutes there, because you literally see it when Josh Stone scores his goal, the referee blows his whistle. Every single Rochdale player's up. They don't have time to even kick it up there because he just blows his whistle. It's literally the last action of the game. Nothing else happened after York scored, which was why, well, they were going to go mental anyway, but I think they just knew that was it because they were so deep into added time. They just didn't know when the game was going to end.
Yeah.
Rochdale will know who they're going to play because Scunthorpe beat Southend in the playoff eliminator last night. So Rochdale will be at home to Scunthorpe, which will be a good game. But it's just one of the most crazy games of football you will ever see. And it just looked like, I can't imagine what it was like to be in the stadium because, watching it from social media, it just looks absolutely bonkers in there.
Yeah. I mean, going back to that first goal then, because it's only right that we really dissect this and take it in all its glory. That is
Yeah.
an unbelievable goal in the 106th minute, by the way. All the
Oh,
pressure
unbelievable.
outside of the boot, cross in. Well, I don't know how you say it. Desiree
Yeah,
scored another goal.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah,
goal.
he's
I think
unbelievable.
he's second top goal scorer just behind Ollie Pearce, isn't he, in the whole league? And if you're being honest, you can't blame the Rochdale fans for going absolutely bonkers and getting on the pitch, can you?
That was it. That was it. That
That was
looked
it.
like it was it.
It was the last minute of the game. Like, I mean, yeah, rightly so. There was time added on, but you just lose yourself in moments like that in football, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it, Dad? That they've run on the pitch. It was absolute scenes. You see all the York players on their arse, just can't even comprehend what's just happened, and that's the beauty of it, really. I know it's come back to bite it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed that that game ended, and there weren't casualties in the crowd, not from the way they were behaving, but just from the sheer stress of it. Because I think you told me last night, Sterling, that when Rochdale scored, there were some York supporters that weren't doing anything other than just sitting there sobbing their hearts out.
yeah, they were crying. It was on that.
Saw that.
George, I'm sure you saw it. That Jensen Adianju, who I've sure
Yeah.
spoken about on the pod, he was in there.
Yeah,
And
It was fine about it, wasn't it? Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I
Right
mean,
in the match.
that you can think, we've been at football matches where there have been people rushed to hospital after coronary events, and you think, I'm just glad that nobody suffered from that as a result of the goings on there, which were, I can't remember a game where I've ever seen anything like that happen.
No.
But funny enough, the guy that was commentated on Dazan almost called it because I think he didn't need to jazz up that last 2 minutes, but he was saying, "Can York come back into this?" And the other
Yeah.
guy that was doing the colour comms was saying, "Well, they're going to have a chance. They're going to get a chance."
Yeah.
And
You always get one chance in a situation like that, and
you always do. You just know it. You can sense it, can't you? You can feel it as a football supporter.
yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Some-
It's just that it's that momentum and just
Yeah.
it's because all that pressure then immediately went on to Rochdale, where it was on York really, wasn't it, for the whole game? But that immediately went into Rochdale, and see, you know what it's like. We'd not played at a good level, have we, George? If we're being brutally honest, at an okay level, but
Nowhere near
nothing
it.
like that. Exactly. Like, though, when it's an important game, and you just got to hold on, and you feel it at the Amex. You just got to hold on, and then it's bound to happen. And the way that goal went in, it was literally, if you're a Rochdale fan, you're
Unbelievable.
just squirming
Yeah.
in your seat. And then if you're a York fan, as you say, Dad, I can't believe it because 2 minutes ago they were literally crying, and then all of a sudden it's just like their whole senses are just heightened beyond belief. And some of them were just stood there like this because they didn't know it went in. Like, there was one bloke there just like this. Everyone around
Yeah,
him, it's like absolute Armageddon, and people
that's what.
running on the pitch and hugging each other and crying
Yeah.
and going mental. And one bloke just stood there like he can't believe that it's in.
Ollie
The players are
Pearce said
running
it was
over. He's like,
instant.
what?
Yeah. Ollie Pearce was saying in his interview after, he was about 10 minutes after full time. He's like, I don't even know who scored, but I'm just absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say was, I'm sure you both heard it, but is the York local radio commentary. Have you both heard it? That is like the best commentary you'll ever hear in your life. I just absolutely love that. And that's
Yeah.
the radio is so great for that, for depicting and
You just don't know what's
describing.
going on.
Exactly, but they do so well.
You couldn't hear what was going on because the guy that was doing the co-coms on that just started screaming.
Screaming.
The guy who was actually doing the commentary was trying to shout over him, "We've done it, we've done it, we've done it!" But all you could hear was this other bloke going.
Yeah. It was amazing, and as I said at the introduction to this game, it's just most amazing advocate for non-league football and the English football pyramid. And honestly, as much as we don't want to see that situation, you can't help but love it, can you? I mean, everybody, literally everybody, whether they care about non-league or not, was interested in this game and just thought, wow, you know. So that's that. Congratulations to York. Commiserations to Rochdale. But if the footballing gods have got any sense of kindness in their heart,
Yeah,
I think that
100%.
they'll be looking down on them. You'd hope. But talk briefly about the playoffs. You mentioned Scunthorpe there, didn't you, George? They've just won the playoff eliminator versus Southend, which is a really big result for them. Two massive teams. Who do we reckon, briefly, is going to join York? Would you back Rochdale, or do you think it's going to be too much to come back from that? Because you got to think for those players emotionally, they've gone 3 or 4 weeks on the spin, scoring last minute, and then to score last minute and then concede to lose the title in literally like the last kick of the season. That's emotionally very hard to take. So who do you have then in this playoff?
Well, I think you got to fancy Rochdale to beat Scunthorpe. It was a great result for them last night, but I think Rochdale will win that. But what worries me is who's going to be waiting for them in the final, because if Forest Green beat Boreham Wood, which I think they probably will do, then it's them against Carlisle. And
What game?
I wouldn't fancy Rochdale's chances against Carlisle, for example. I really wouldn't. I mean, they've
Now,
demonstrated over the season that they are the second best, if not the best team in the division. So you'd want to back them, but if it lined up, if it lined up as Rochdale against Carlisle or Forest Green, I think I might back the team Rochdale are playing against, which would be a huge shame.
yeah. I mean, history, as we mentioned, is against them. You've got like Carlisle on really good form. And I think we mentioned it about even like Forest Green. They've known for a while, right? They're just well, they're comfortable in the playoffs, right? They're in that last spot, but they're massively comfortable. They've known for a while that this is going to be their game. They've been doing penalty shootouts, right? So whether they come into that so much more fresh, so much fresher, is something we'll have to wait and see, but I think that is something to take into consideration, that it's going to be very hard for Rochdale, and that's probably why the history is against them, right?
Yeah, but I think so.
I think there's some element to this week that they've got in between the games. I think in baseball they've got this debate going on at the moment about the wild card placings, and the teams that do well in that don't play for a few days, and they don't do very well because they just get out of rhythm.
Yeah.
I think there's certainly a case for saying, Rochdale will be sitting there twiddling their thumbs for over a week waiting for that eliminator game to start on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Whereas Scunthorpe will be going into it having come through a really close match.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. But last thing to mention is we've got AFC Clyde, champions of National League North, playing in National League next season. And the game that we went to on the weekend, National League South, we've got the mighty Worthing FC going up to the National League. Absolute scenes there, wasn't it, on Saturday? 2 amazing goals to do it, and that second one even better. I mean, Dad, you were on the way back from the loo, weren't you? Did you have that good of a view of it? Because where we were sat, we had an incredible view.
Yeah, no, I just timed it perfectly. I came out of the box, I was walking along, and I just saw him get the ball, and I saw him sort of. I mean, he moves so smoothly, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He really
he
does.
does. He's so
He just
good.
smoothly ran through the midfield, got to the edge of the box, and rifled it in. I thought he was. I mean, he's obviously playing at least 2 levels below what he could play at. That guy.
Yeah,
I think he. I think he'd be comfortably could play in League Two, but he's got the chance to play in League Three. I think that's what we should start calling it now, rather than a National League. Frankly, um, I mean, he's a full-time footballer. He looks absolute class, and there were 2 good goals actually from Worthing, because the
yeah,
Yeah, the first
goal,
one was a rocket.
the goal Cook scored. I mean, I listened to Hinchelwood afterwards, and he said that they've been saying to him on Friday that he needs him to get forward a little bit more, because he's got a cracking shot on him.
yeah,
So yeah, it's great. I'm so chuffed for Worthing. It was a great
yeah.
day out. Man.
It was absolute scenes. Yeah, as you say, Joe Cook's goal, it came out of nowhere, really, didn't it? I didn't actually know that had one gone in. If you remember
No,
my
I
record.
was,
And I was like, well, I thought
yeah,
it hit the stanchion on the outside. Well, it hit the stanchion, but you know that black pole on the outside.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think the stanchion's the word for it, but got caught in between 2 lines. It was right in the stanchion, top corner, to the point where it looked like it hadn't even hit the back of the net. It was a
No,
cracking goal,
yeah,
and I think for the second, it was right that Razak scored a wonder goal, because I think he's been one of, if not the best players for Worthing this season, and he was probably the best player on the day. I thought he just oozes so much confidence, doesn't he? And that goal was just absolutely ridiculous. Also, the commentary for that is unbelievable as well, from the Worthing commentator on. I don't think it was BBC Sussex, because it wasn't Johnny Cantor and Warren Aspinall, but it was just brilliant. Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
yeah. I loved this game. It was a cracking day out. I think the commentator you're on about, he literally says like, "Oh, you don't want Razak Carmen in them sort of situations," and
Yeah,
he gets the ball off of Joel Cobra and gets it on the half turn, bing bang bosh,
yeah.
2-0 Worth.
You can hear how
Um,
much it matters to him as well. He's like, come in the ground.
yeah, it's going
It's
absolutely
amazing.
nuts, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
it's been bound to happen. I think they've 3 seasons at the playoffs, and just fighting for promotion, and they finally got over the line. I mean, honestly, I felt bad for FC supporters.
yeah,
Having to experience all them celebrations and then drop out of the playoffs. That must have been one of the worst days out you could possibly get, couldn't you? I
yeah.
mean, absolutely terrible. One thing about that, I don't know if you've seen this, but I thought this was absolutely brilliant. An already relegated Bar fan, obviously he didn't get relegated himself, but Bath are relegated. He's gone over to the Maidstone fans, because Maidstone had just come back from 2-0 down to win 3-2 at Bath. One of the Bath fans goes over to the Maidstone fans, who goes, Hornchurch have scored, because if Hornchurch scored, it meant that Maidenhead had dropped out and Maidstone had gone in. And you just see the Maidstone fans go absolutely crazy. But he's just told them a complete lie. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. They're just
Gotta
going
have
absolutely
non-league.
nuts. And then bar fans are just going like, "Woo, woo, what you doing that for?" Because they know they've just sold him down the river. It is, honestly, I'll put it on the group chat after. It's the funniest thing. I think it's my favourite moment of this
That's
week.
so
It
funny.
was so funny. But obviously, commiserations to FC, because I thought they looked the better team in the first,
First
half an
half.
hour or so. Half
Yeah,
an hour, just the first half in general. I thought they didn't deserve to go into the break 1-0 down, but second half they crumbled. I think as soon as Worthing scored, they were cooking on gas, to be honest. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I
they didn't
mean,
get going, did they?
No,
no,
they
it
set
really
us much
didn't.
better, didn't they? They set us
Yeah.
much
Yeah,
better, I think. Absolutely.
Second half, Worthing just come out with a complete different team. It was literally all Worthing that second half, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
literally all.
Pitch invasion. They kept saying, didn't they? Please do not enter the pitch in any circumstance.
With
And
about two
literally,
stewards in the old ground.
yeah, they've got to say that, haven't they? But literally, it must have been zero
No,
point 0.2 seconds
yeah,
later after the
literally as soon
referee
as the
blew his
whistle went.
whistle.
Yeah,
Everybody was storming the pitch, and yeah, the scenes were beautiful. There's flares off, weren't there? All the players, yeah, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. You see all the players on there as well, taking photos with their family members, all the fans. It's absolutely quality, mate. And I think they're going to do really well next season, actually. I think they'll hold their own. That squad's brilliant. The fans are brilliant because the atmosphere as well, by the way, it's worth mentioning,
I'm
was
around.
really
Yeah.
good. And especially when those goals went in, you can hear,
Oh,
well, we heard at the time, and you can hear in the videos just the roar. And it was sold out, wasn't it? Over 4,000 fans.
yeah,
I
just so.
think I think they'll do well with a little bit more recruitment next season, Worthing, and do really well. And we've got the beauty of not having to travel too far to watch a bit of National League as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant. Love
looking forward
that.
to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely,
Definitely be out there. Definitely be out.
absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I think we said it. Might have said it last week. We might have said it on Saturday. If the Albion get Europe, then we'll probably be able to get out to Worthing a bit more on a Saturday because the Albion probably won't have many 3 o'clock
Yeah.
kickoffs
Yeah.
Yes.
Saturday afternoon. So we'll have to wait and see. Something to look forward to. Just before we
Let's look
move
at
on,
the
then.
playoffs a little bit. I'm just going to mention that can't really look beyond Torquay. I don't think for the playoffs. I think they're going to end up playing whoever wins Dorking and Maidenhead. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll win that, and then they've got Hornchurch and Western Supermare. They're probably going to be Western Supermare, isn't it? So that'll be a
Yeah.
They've
nice one.
won. Western Supermare won.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've got
6-5
to
on
play
Canoe.
Hornchurch, haven't they? So
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
Western will win that, and then play against Torquay. So that'll be a tasty game. But I think Torquay will win it, frankly.
Yeah, they're very strong. And I said it, didn't I? I think last week or the week before. You've got to go to Torquay, potentially.
Mm.
And that is something that no team wants to do in that division. You can relish it. I know Mark White was bigging it up last season. You can relish it and think, oh, that's going to be a cracker. And he, almost a football fan in him, was saying that. But you could tell that he knew that going to Torquay away is far from
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if it weren't for Dorking and Torquay playing each other as a result of if Dorking beat Maidenhead tonight, I think that'd probably be the final because Torquay and Dorking are two really good teams. But yeah, it's hard to. I said it, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I think it's hard to not say Torquay. You know, the stature of the club, the form they're on, the players they've got. I think it's just a level above Dorking because of the injuries they've had. They've not got as many players back as they would have liked in time, and they've just got a few too many new players. You know, the chemistry is not as gelled as it will be for Torquay that have played with each other for all season. But Dorking have just frankly been forced to buy players because otherwise they'll have to go to their under-23s and Dorking B team that play in the Southern County Division One league with Uckfield. You know, they're not going to pluck any players out of that league, are they? Let's be frank. But yeah, Western Supermare beat Emma Enstead last night 6-5 on penalties, which was a surprising result. Western Supermare going away to Emma Enstead and winning that. So I think that'll be a real confidence booster going into that Hornchurch game. Because to be fair, I think anyone in them playoff places could beat
Yeah.
Hornchurch. That ground, you know, it's not like the most fierce ground to go to, going to a running track. Do you know what I mean? So
No,
you're not
exactly.
going to be that. You're not going to
You
be
compare
fearing
that to
going.
Torquay.
Yeah, exactly. You compare that to Torquay, and it's laughable, isn't it? So I think it'll be Torquay as well. I think we're all saying that, but I think personally, if Dorking win tonight, the winner of Dorking versus Torquay, if that's the semi-final, will win the whole thing. So it'll be interesting to see, but playoffs are always exciting, so can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Absolutely. Talking about playoffs, Isthmian Premier Division playoffs. We've got Aveley versus Brentford at Brentwood. I think I know who would win that one. And Billericay versus Chatham Town. So, what are your predictions? Start off, Dad. What do you reckon?
I think
Aveley versus
Billericay.
Brentwood.
Yeah, the only team that I've really seen in this division that's in the playoffs is Billericay, and I don't think I'd bet against them, frankly. I think they beat Chatham. And Aveley really have been up there, haven't they, all season?
Yeah, I think that'll be the final.
I think that'll be the final, and that'll be a tasty game between those two. I mean, Aveley, if it wasn't for a season for the ages from Folkestone, would probably have won the league themselves. So
Yeah.
I think them against Billericay, that would be an interesting game. Before we sort of finish, you can have your say in a minute. I just wanted to go back to those playoffs and talk about the fact that National League North and South, the playoffs are at the club that finishes highest, aren't they?
Yeah,
Whereas League Three, or the National League as some people call it, the playoff finals at Wembley. And I think that's a huge, it's a huge disadvantage for Rochdale, that.
Yeah,
It's a massive
absolutely.
disadvantage, because if you think it's shaping up to maybe be, let's say it's Rochdale against Carlisle, you've
yeah.
got to trek all the way down to Wembley to play on a Sunday afternoon.
Ooh.
That's a massive disadvantage. And if it's the club that finishes the highest in league in the Northern and the Southern divisions, why isn't it the same in the National League? It's another disservice to those clubs, isn't it? It's like saying, well, you can't have three of you coming up, but here you go, you can play the final at Wembley. It's like,
and I'm sure none of them really care.
We'd rather have three clubs come up and not play the final at Wembley.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sure, like, all right, yeah, it's great for the players to play at Wembley and the fans.
Got the
I'm
FA
sure
trophy
really
for
deep
that.
down, like, yeah, they don't actually care about that, and the fans and the board members of the clubs. I'm sure realistically they're thinking, well, this is, as you say, a disservice. We've come top. What about the other divisions below us?
Yeah.
Stupid. And then they're not gonna sell out Wembley. It's gonna be half full, if that. It's a shame, really.
Even with a club that's well supported as Carlisle, they're only going to take 15,000, 20,000 most. Rochdale,
Yeah, exactly.
we're not talking about a cheap day out either. If you're going anywhere on public transport in this country, so these aren't deprived areas of the country, but they're not the most wealthiest parts of the country. So Rochdale, what do they take? 10,000. So as you say, you can end up with a crowd of, and you get a few thousand turn. If we live closer, we'd probably go to it, but you're going to get a few thousand turn up to watch it. You're going to have 30,000 people there at most. I mean, it just boggles my mind. It really does. These clubs are so poorly served by the Football League. It's outrageous, really.
It is. I agree. George, going back to Isthmian Prem, do you want to give your prediction? Because I'd say, I reckon Billericay Aveley final. But I'm going to stick with Billericay because we all had them going up, so I'm going to back my prediction.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think Billericay Aveley in the final, it's hard to not see it be that. No offence to Brentwood and Chatham, who've both had brilliant seasons, but that home advantage, and obviously the way they've both been playing in the second half of the season, they're just on cracking form. And then the final, it's so tough to call because they're both, as good as each other. Obviously, Aveley finished higher on the table, but Billericay's second half for this season is the best in the league, above Folkestone under Danny Scopes. Brett Menyard at Aveley, good manager. Yeah, I think it's Billericay. We've called it from the start. I think I had them to win the league, which I actually did look at the other day. It wasn't the other day, it was yesterday while I was watching Ball League. I thought, now all three of these leagues are over, I'll have a look at how well we predicted all of them, and oh my God, I don't think we should react to them because, oh my God, absolutely terribly.
Really?
Say that for this, but yeah, I'm going to say Billericay, Danny Scopes have got them cooking on gas. They seem hard to beat. I think they're on 10 on the bounce, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah.
think I sent a post like that. And obviously Averley are a great side, but it's so hard to look past them, Billericay. But you know, because Avery finished second, didn't they? So they'll get that home advantage, which will play into factor. But I just think Billericay are such a good side; it's hard to look past them, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about predictions there, it's only right. We've been taking the mick pretty much all season, but it's confirmed that Craig Valley Paper Mills, dads to be champions at the beginning of the season, have been relegated. So, absolutely class prediction from you. I mean, you got it spot on.
But
Right
have a
on
look
the
at
money,
some of
guys.
yours,
Right
Tom.
on the money.
Have a look at
Well,
some of
You
yours.
guys
have a look. George has just told me not to have a look. The only reason we remember that is because it was so rogue anyway. But that, yeah,
I think we all had Brentwood bottom, so fair play to Brentwood. They got themselves into the playoffs. But yeah, Cray Valley Paper Mills and hashtag gone. I mean, I saw a post by hashtag putting relegation confirmed. Well, you wanted to relegate yourselves. Why are you putting that, mate? Like, what?
Yeah,
Doesn't
exactly.
make-
now they
that's
don't
what
have to
fans-
worry.
That's what fans on Twitter were saying. They were like, "Oh, it's so funny about that." They're like, all the hashtag ultras must be gutted about the the relegation. It's
Yeah, all
like,
five of them.
people from hashtag must be absolutely gutted.
It's that little.
5 year 8 students, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it's that little boy with his drum that we saw at Liverpool.
Yeah,
His mum accompanied him. He's gutted. So
I'm not going to get AI to do my predictions next season. I'm going to do it myself.
Did you to do it this year then?
It's obviously had a
God.
hallucination there.
It's a cop out, isn't it?
That's a DNF. That's a DNF.
That's a cop out. That I don't think he did get AI to do it. I think he's just saying that so he don't look as silly.
Look at him.
But we will do a reactions. Whether it's going to be as long as the predictions, I doubt it. I think that it shouldn't be for the sake of all of us because we've had some howlers. But we'll do some just a bit of digging on what we actually said and we'll review it. But I mean, it's been a really, really good final day, weekend for non-league, and we're looking forward to the EFL's final weekend coming up of the season. And I'm sure there'll be some interesting talking points. But it's been an enjoyable podcast, gents, and thank you for joining as always.
Brilliant. Thank you. See you next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.